welcome back to Bit Break. In today's video we are returning to a classic, Bridget Jones's Diary, which is now celebrating its 25th anniversary and is just as brilliant as ever. So this video is going to be about why Bridget Jones is still such an icon. 25 years ago, when this novel first came out and the whole Bridget Jones phenomenon was just completely exploding, there was a running joke about women saying, I am Bridget Jones. No, I am Bridget Jones, because she was just such a relatable character. And it's pretty amazing that 25 years on, I still feel like I am Bridget Jones. And here I think are the 5 reasons why. Reason number 1 is actually best summed up by something that Helen Fielding wrote in the introduction to this anniversary edition. She wrote, I think if Bridget Jones is about anything, it's about the gap between how you feel you're expected to be and how you actually are. And I think that sums it up perfectly. Right from the very first page of this book, we get a list of Bridget's New Year's resolutions, and they are just hilariously unachievable. She genuinely thinks she'll be able to completely change everything about her life and personality overnight. Things like, I will go out less and instead I will stay home and listen to classical music. And I get it, we've all been there. We've all woken up on the 1st of January or just any other Monday in the year and decided, today I'm going to be this idea of the perfect person I have somehow developed in my head. I'm going to learn to play the piano and go horse riding and I'm never going to drink again. Which is ridiculous. Have any of us ever managed that? She also perfectly skewers that double complication that not only do we all have this perfect idea of who we think we're supposed to be, we're supposed to be that person without trying at all. So one of her New Year's resolutions is to learn to be perfectly complete on her own without a boyfriend as the perfect method to get a boyfriend. There is a lot of talk about weight loss in the book, and the way that Bridget obsesses over numbers can feel quite jarring to read in our more body positive modern world, but it's actually still so relevant. The point is, Bridget was trying to force herself to be the person that the world said she should be, which 25 years ago happened to be thin. These days, the world is telling us we have to be proud of our bodies, though also, if possible, be effortlessly thin, and it's every bit as confusing. So I think it is easy to look past the calorie counting, which can seem a little dated, and find that actually the issues that Bridget Jones is facing are exactly the same as what we have today. It's just a different version of it. And actually that's shown really perfectly in the book at the point where Bridget realises that her obsession with her weight is a problem, and so she starts congratulating herself in her diary for eating lots of calories until she realises that she's still just obsessing over calories and obsessing over how she's supposed to be, so it isn't any better. The point is, Bridget is really hard on herself. She even starts counting her negative thoughts in her diary and then counting the minutes that she wastes having negative thoughts. She really feels like nothing she's doing is right. And there's a really perfect quote to summarise that says, I am a child of cosmopolitan culture, have been traumatised by supermodels and too many quizzes, and know that neither my personality nor my body is up to it if left to its own devices. We know that's not true because she's brilliant, but that is exactly how so many of us are made to feel. Another even more perfect quote, whatever I'm doing, I really think I ought to be doing something else. So that is reason number 1 why we are all Bridget Jones and why she is still such an icon. She shows us a mirror of ourselves, trying our best to be anything other than who we are, and then she laughs at the whole situation and shows how ridiculous the whole thing is. Reason number 2 why Bridget Jones is my icon is that on the flip side of being really hard on herself, she is relentlessly optimistic. She keeps trying. She keeps getting knocked down and getting back up again. The whole way through the year that we read about in this diary, she is constantly setting these goals for herself. She keeps failing and she keeps saying to herself, I'll try again in a bit when I can be bothered, essentially. I love the moment where she's so convinced that she's going to get a good day's work done working from home, something that we are all going through, especially this year. And after completely wasting the morning, it gets to about 2 in the afternoon before she decides she's now ready to have a really good afternoon of work. All she needs is a 5-minute nap. and then she wakes up and it's 5 hours later. Even with all this negativity whirling around in her head and from the people around her, she keeps getting up and she keeps trying. So that is the second reason why Bridget Jones is my icon. Reason number 3 is that Bridget Jones is an imperfect feminist. A lot of the moments in this book actually remind me of the podcast The Guilty Feminist, when they take turns saying, I'm a feminist, but, and then revealing some confession that they do that isn't very feminist. Bridget Jones is all of that. She knows all the pressures on women, she knows they're unfair. She goes out to the pub and has long feminist rants with her best friends. Then she wants them to shush because she thinks that feminism might look unattractive to a man, but ultimately she remembers her principles when it matters, and she does stand up for what she knows she deserves. Also, shout out here to Bridget Jones's mum, who has a fabulous feminist moment, which does apparently come straight from Helen Fielding's own mother, which is when she's being patronised on the phone by a taxman and replies with, "Can you make a brioche?" Touché, Bridget Jones's mum. Reason number 4 why Bridget Jones is my icon is she is hilarious. I literally laughed out loud the whole way through this book. She so perfectly summarises what's going on through your head, but in much funnier words than I could ever think of. She's someone that you feel you really want to be friends with. I want to go to the pub with her and order way too many bottles of Chardonnay and go off on a drunken feminist rant that doesn't even make sense. But I think what's great here, and that really adds to the whole I am Bridget Jones feeling, is that she doesn't feel impossibly, unachievably quick-witted, someone that you could never live up to, because while her diaries are hilarious, when it comes to speaking out loud, she often gets confused and tongue-tied and has to practice several times the funny thing she's going to say or the funny email she's going to write. And there are so many moments when she instantly regrets whatever just came out of her mouth, which again, we've all been there. And finally, reason number 5 why Bridget Jones is an icon is she is genuinely just doing her best. She is definitely not a saint-like figure. She's genuinely very helpful to her parents when they're going through troubles, but she also makes time to feel smug about being so helpful. She really worries about her friend Tom when no one has seen him for a while, but she also has fun daydreaming about what she might wear to the funeral. She is very much just a human. She is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but my God, is she trying. And that is why we will forever love Bridget Jones. So I absolutely loved returning to this character over the last few days, and I really recommend picking up this 25th anniversary edition, whether you've never read Bridget Jones before, whether you love the films but haven't read the book, or whether it's an old favourite. There is so much in here. Beyond the book itself, which, as I may have mentioned, is brilliant, there is loads of extra writing from Helen Fielding. So she's written an introduction for the book, and then she's also provided loads of context at the end. You get to read some of the original Bridget Jones newspaper columns, because that's where it all began. You get to read some of Helen Fielding's other newspaper articles. You even get to see a page of her own diary from university, which looks quite reminiscent of Bridget's. And I think my favourite extract at the end was the interview that Helen Fielding conducted with Colin Firth, and this is before the movie came out. So Bridget Jones in the book is obsessed with the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy. So there's an interview in here where Helen Fielding genuinely went and met up with Colin Firth and then conducted an interview where she was in character as Bridget Jones and Colin Firth was in character as a sort of mashup between Mr. Darcy and himself. The interview is hilarious. It is very cringeworthy and embarrassing, and Helen Fielding said that she and Colin Firth had a lot of fun doing this interview together. So it is just too perfect that Colin Firth then did go on to play Mark Darcy in the Bridget Jones movies. He seems like a great guy. So do leave us a comment below if you're also a big Bridget Jones fan, and I will leave a link here to a video we made before about books about being a bit of a hot mess, because what is Bridget Jones if not a bit of a hot mess? See you next time.